am Kyle Madsen, and Mark Jones, television voice of the Kings, joining us
up,
live
guys?
from Florida now. Mark, how we doing, man?
Outstanding, man. Stayed up late on the East Coast here and watched the Kings battle. They gave it a good run, came up a little bit short. It's kind of been the story of the season so far.
Do you take anything from that? Is it I don't want to say moral victories, but is it like, okay, they're starting to play better, you start to see something coming together, or is it, man, they're just not figuring out a way to win these games consistently?
Man, I feel like that OKC game, that loss was symbolic of the way things have gone. Close, but not quite there yet. One thing I can say is that the effort, I want to say, has been consistent. I think it's about being able to give effort and play smart at the same time, play wisely and with good discernment at the same time. And I think that is explained by these guys are just still getting used to each other and figuring it out. If you look at even a guy like Schroeder's play of late, it's trending in the right direction. And I think the pieces are still coming together.
Mark, we saw Russell Westbrook added late about 2 weeks ago now. This morning, the Kings made another move. They brought in Precious Achiuwa and moved away from Isaac Jones. Just what are your thoughts on not just, the addition of Precious, because I'm sure you've got thoughts on that, but also the way that they're adding pieces that are kind of playing the rotation for right now at such a late date, like not only in training camp, but here we are like 7-8 games into the season.
Yeah, it's you got to try and win. So if the talent is available, you can't blame Scott Perry for acquiring talent that is proven. And, Achua is a little bit more of a proven commodity right now than Isaac Jones, who has great potential still, I think. But it's that balancing act between trying to win now and give younger guys the requisite experience to be part of something bigger and better later. And those are the tough choices that they pay Scott Perry to make. And like I said, those are difficult choices, and they decided to go with Achua. And, I'm not sure what the long-term prospects are for him being with the team, in subsequent year or years, but that's where we are right now. And the only thing that is kind of counterintuitive to success in that addition is, you start the chemistry all over again when you add a piece like that, who's going to start playing pretty frequently now too. So
talking with Mark Jones.
It's a tough. I think Doug Christie has one of the most difficult, challenging jobs in the league right now. I mean, if you think about, that all that he's had to do, without Domas for a couple of games for injury, without Malik now, Clifford's missed a game, without Keegan Murray, who's really one of a kind on our roster. I mean, you talk about holding it together with spit, tape, and glue right now with Doug. Yeah.
Talking with Mark Jones, television voice of the Kings. Last night, the Kings didn't shoot it great from three. Again, they are last in the league in three-point attempts per game. They're last in the league in three-point attempt rate. Do you think that Sacramento can figure out a way to continue generating offense without keeping up with kind of the NBA's three-point revolution?
I think so. But you've got to do it by hitting the paint and punishing the paint. If you look at the Denver Nuggets success, who we played last night, over the last, 3 years, I want to say, statistically, they've been, either 28th, 29th, or 30th.
Oh, we've lost Mark Jones for a second.
Lost him.
They've made it to
the
semifinals.
Yeah, you're
twice. So it works if you are attacking in other ways. So that's the balance. They can win without shooting a ton of threes, but you've got to be getting a lot of points in the paint at the same time, because that's the relationship. Or at least in the short mid-range area.
Mark, I wanted to ask you about about Ja Morant. We're
Right.
seeing sort of this thing unfold here in Memphis. It looks like it's heading towards an ugly divorce. I was talking to Kyle earlier. It really does kind of feel like the Taylor Jenkins thing and the Mike Brown thing kind of mirror each other, where a player loved a coach and thought that that was the right coach for him. And the next thing you know, that coach is gone and the player starts to, kind of fall apart a little bit. So where are you at with this whole situation? And is he a player that you think the Kings should go after?
I would say anytime that you can get elite talent like that, you have to explore it. You at least owe yourself a phone call. John Morant, at his best, when he's right, is a top 15 player in the NBA, and we've seen that. We've seen them beat the Warriors in the playoffs. We've seen them go, to the conference semifinals and be a team that's in contention. I've spoken with people in Ja's circle. He recommitted himself this past summer to his training and lifestyle changes. Got himself new representation. I've known Ja for the entire time that he's been in the NBA. He's a good kid who made a bad decision in the past, and he's moved on. He right now is at odds with his coach. I think if you were to, you can read the tea leaves yourself, right? Thomas Sisalo is a European coach who, at times, it's about black and white. There is no gray. That's one of his character traits. The Memphis Grizzlies play a style that is those 5.5, 6 minute bursts where everybody plays hard and then you come out. And the style and offense that they run is the same one that everyone's going goo goo gaga over with the Miami Heat right now. It's the Noah LaRoche system: attack space, hit the paint, spray, rotate, kind of a wheel action. And what that does is take the ball out of your best player's hands, and it becomes a more egalitarian system where everybody gets to touch the ball and everybody has the potential to eat. But guys, sometimes in sports, that's not a good thing.
Sure.
Sometimes the wrong guy has the ball when it's time to shoot. And they are, I think, if you were to listen to people, undergoing a little bit of a cultural change in that organization at a fundamental level. And you could have really seen this coming if you look close 2 years ago, 2+ years ago, when they fired all of Taylor Jenkins' assistant coaches and brought in Tomasi Salo. And I think they only kept one or two coaches from the previous regime. And Taylor Jenkins and Ja were like this. When I tell you they were tight, they were like at each other and on each other's hip. And I think that's at the root of all this. But Ja Morant, the player in the right environment, my long answer that you just heard is, yeah, I'd take a run at him, definitely.
Are the Sacramento Kings?
He's 26 years old. What's that?
Are the Sacramento Kings that right environment for him, you think?
It can be, sure. Yeah. I think he's a guy that you can build around still. He's still elite in terms of whether you want to play an up-tempo game, whether you want to play ball screen actions. He's not a great defender, but he's not a pylon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the metrics say. I trust my eyes, but I can tell you that Ja's very much in the right environment, an all-in type of guy. I mean, if you speak with his teammates through the years, they'll tell you that he's down with them. I mean, has them over at his place all the time. Shoot, his dad, T, is the team barber. Like, he has all the guys over to cut their hair and have barbecues during the season. I mean, when Ja's your teammate, he's 10 toes down. And who wouldn't want to create that kind of atmosphere, right? To have a player like that. Why not?
Yeah, I think the why not is like the biggest thing. It's like, if you're taking it is a risk. It's 3 years at 40 something million a year.
Right.
And he's going to want to get paid probably next summer where he'll
Right.
take an extension.
But that's
And
the
you got to
going
make
rate for a star, right?
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
is. And, it's kind of the same exact thing that the Kings went through with De'Aaron Fox. And,
Right.
he's a player that, at some point has been one of the up and coming young point guards in the league. I just worry about all the off the court stuff and whether I think a reset for him is probably what's needed.
Yeah.
Like you run a lot of times players run their course with a franchise. I think De'Aaron Fox ran his course with the Kings franchise. And this is a moment where, hey, look, if you can go out there and get him and not have to give up a lot,
Yeah.
maybe you give up something similar to what the Kings, took back for De'Aaron Fox. That's kind
Sure.
of where his value is right now because of the off-court stuff, because of the on-court stuff, and because of the injury history and some of the other things that Ja brings too. Just kind of an interesting thing. Mark, the one thing I wanted to ask you outside of that, what trends are you seeing so far in the league? Is there something that stands out to you that we're seeing early in this year? Because you do watch a ton of basketball, and it seems like there are a ton of dudes averaging 30 a game.
Yeah. It's the pace thing. Teams trying to play hyper fast. I mean, when Eric Spoelstra vows to play fast all year, and usually by this time of the season, he's vowed to play fast and slowed down 3 times already. They're still playing fast. I see the pace game. I see a trend of, last year, I want to say I saw the stat, it was 7 teams picked up full court. This year, I think that number's even increased. And in terms of overall 3/4 court, full court ball pressure, that percentage of time has increased pretty exponentially too. That's another trend. Most of them on the defensive end, and it's about on the offensive end, everybody is about paint attack. Just put your head down and attack the paint and see what happens from there. The league has taken on a trend of fewer play calls and more random offense, which defensively becomes a scenario where teams become harder to scout. Where if you can, like Indiana did so successfully last year, and OKC has been doing for the last few years, stacking and random actions on top of each other with a ghost screen, a slip out, hit him, step up screen, other side, dribble off him, into the corner, DHO, just stacking 3-4 actions, swing it second side, go. There is a lot more random basketball being played right now, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon because the two teams that played that way, and I for them. It's a little bit of an equalizer. A little bit of an equalizer. At the end of the day, talent's always going to be the defining trait, though. That's why. That's why you try and go out and get a guy like Ja if you get a chance. At least you pick up the phone and ask. I'm not saying you have to get him, but you pick up the phone and ask.
No doubt. Talking with the television voice of the Sacramento Kings, Mark Jones. Mark, I'm interested to know the Kings off to a 2-5 start as we circle back to Sacramento here.
Right.
Have your expectations for this club changed after the first couple weeks of the season?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult of a chemistry experiment than I initially thought it would, because I think a lot of the conventional thinking was, hey, we'll pick up where we were last year. We got the core with Zach, DeMar, and Domas. But, in bringing in Mike Miller to run the offense, we're scoring points. Bobby Jackson to run the defense. We've got to, be a little bit better at that end of the floor. It's taken a little bit to translate, and with some of the moving parts with injuries and absences, it's made it really disjointed. So I don't think that I've lowered my expectations. I think this is a team that can still get into that 6 through 10 window. Hey, listen, it only takes a run of 8-9 games to be in the mix, and we in Sacramento can hang our hat on some of the offensive firepower we have until the defense comes around. And, you know, I got to say that, you know, in talking about the defense, I'm not sure where we rank. I haven't looked this morning, but I know it's in the, or what are we, in the bottom third, like 21st, 22nd, somewhere around there. I spoke with Bobby Jackson a couple of days ago, and I said, Bobby, tell me about Zach LaVine's defense. And he said, Zach has been, I think this was before the Chicago game. He said, Zach has been my best on-ball defender so far this year. That's Bobby Jackson saying that, not me. That's so.
Interesting.
I think if commitment is symbolic of what the ultimate is going to be for the Kings, then I think we'll be okay. We can get to that 6 through 10 window.
Mark Jones, television voice of the Sacramento Kings. You can hear him all over ESPN. Turn on ESPN, college football, NBA. You're going to hear Mark. Mark, you're the very best. Thank you so much for making time for us, man.
Guys, I'll see you on Sunday against Minnesota.
Can't wait.
That's good. Thanks, Mark.
Awesome.
Got it.
Thanks, Mark.